What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in today to our virtual workshop. I'm Reginald Titus Jr., Director for Grind Over Matter Foundation. Today, we're talking about becoming a movie director, right? And we have Arthur Muhammad joining us today. Thank you, Arthur, for coming in and spending your time with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Yes, indeed. And to y'all that are watching, just a real quick, Grinder Matter Foundation, we're about having representation in front of and behind the camera, and we support that by having workshops like this. We also provide scholarships for people that are interested in getting their drone license. We help as far as payment for that through scholarships, and also whenever we're doing like a film project, we want students that are actually interning to come into our film projects and get that experience. So that's how we make sure that there's representation in front of and behind the camera. And let's jump into Arthur's bio. One second here. All right. Arthur Muhammad, a dedicated filmmaker hailing from Dallas, Texas, has traversed a unique journey through the world of cinema. His passion for film was igniting alongside independent colleagues who unfortunately faced daunting financial challenges that prevented their projects from reaching completion. Determined to never encounter a similar fate, Muhammad embarked on the quest to learn every facet of filmmaking, from writing to shooting, the art of editing, directing, and producing. Arthur earned his BA in film and media from Southern Methodist University and further honed his craft, obtaining an MFA from Vermont College of Fine Arts. With 17 features under his belt, he has not only directed and edited, but also written and directed 4 of these films. Arthur's films have resonated with audiences worldwide thanks to the availability on platforms such as Netflix, BT, theatrical screenings. Titles like Carter High, First Impression, Bid for Love have delighted viewers from diverse corners of the globe. Arthur was accepted to the DGA's episodic TV directing mentorship program and is excited to expand his directorial career in episodic television. Welcome, welcome, sir.
Yes, sir, brother. Right now, I'm just trying to get back onto your screen.
Okay. We can see you though. Just so you know, we can see you.
Okay, cool. Because I can't see you. So let me see which tab. I got like 30 some tabs open. That's the problem. That's the
Okay. Yeah, I know I had to get rid of some of these tabs because it was slowing my connection down a little bit. I know one of our board members is on. Shanti, if you can give a thumbs up to make sure, can you see Arthur?
I got you.
Yeah, she's good. All right. All right, rock and roll. Okay, so let's here at Grandma Foundation, we get right into the sauce. So, what is a movie director? What does that
Wow.
mean?
Well, a movie director is the lead creative person on a movie.
Mhm.
And what they provide is like the cohesive vision, and you need to be able to communicate that vision to the rest of the team, understanding that it's a collaborative, effort. So you have the vision, you communicate that vision to the team, and hopefully that vision is carried out from the script to the screen.
And what has prepared you on in becoming a film director? You know, what's the pathway to becoming a film director?
Man, it's really, brother, so many pathways to become a film director, especially this day and time. I can tell you how I started, and my initial thing, even before I went to SMU, I when I was in high school, we used to me and for the football players, we had my friend had a VHS camera, and that's what
Yeah, yeah,
way back.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
he had a VHS camera, and we used to always do these little skits and stuff when we wasn't playing and
Right.
practicing or something. I went to Carter, played football at Carter,
Hmm.
and so I was always the one like directing the scenes, and back then we didn't edit outside the camera,
Right.
like with Premiere, you did all your editing within the camera itself.
Yeah. So you
So
had to what? You pushing push pause and go again, do another scene.
right, you got to make sure that was a trick. You got to push standby or
Oh,
pause. You can't push stop. We
yeah.
get you a jump cut. So yeah, so that's what I was doing, bro. I started doing that in high school. I had one job when I was in high school. I
Hmm.
went to, I worked at Redbird Cinema,
Yeah.
134 in Oak Cliff.
Wow.
And when I was working there is when Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing came out.
Wow.
So that
Hmm.
was film school initially, because they would have to come get me at the theater because I was just watching his film
Yeah.
every day. Like literally every day, I would be watching the film. So that was my film school.
Do the right thing, and that's probably like arguably like one of his best films. How so was that in a way like kind of like your like is that when you caught the bug for filmmaking? Is like when you saw that film?
Oh yeah, that's when I caught the bug. And then, but
Hmm.
when I think back, when I was in elementary school, I had one thing that I remember vividly. As a matter of fact, I can show you better than I can tell you because I keep it as a memory. See this little figure right here?
Yes.
We in elementary school we had to do a project where we took an action figure like this, and it was this action figure, and you had to take it through. You took a picture and you moved it a little bit. You take
Hmm.
another picture, moved it a little bit, and you did that several times. And then when our teacher took it through the projector, it made it like it was moving, like it was stop, which I know now was stop motion, but back then I was just like, wow, like we did that, like something that's simple, and that's
Right.
I'm nothing from elementary school, but I remember
Wow.
that, and so
Man.
that was it's like sometimes when you start looking back in your past, because even when I was born, my dad bought an 8 millimeter film camera to film
Hmm.
us,
Yes.
when he was born. And I remember looking at those home videos and how it just looked like grainy and looked like a
Hmm.
movie. We would say it was like a real movie.
Yeah.
And so just those little things I always remember. And from that, working at the movie theater, then going from the movie theater, then I went to SMU on a football scholarship, and that's when I saw that you can actually study cinema in
Hmm.
school. I didn't even know that you can do that in school. But
Yeah.
my focus was on playing football. I wasn't
Hmm.
even thinking about making movies. I was
Right.
thinking I'm gonna go to the pro. And end up tearing my ACL my
Hmm.
freshman year. I tore my ACL, and from that point on, I started focusing more on film. I ended
Hmm.
up getting me a 16 millimeter film camera, and I shot my first feature film on film, 16 millimeter film.
Was that why you were at SMU that you did
So
your first feature? Uh-huh.
that was after I left SMU, years after I left SMU.
Wow. Wow. Um, that talk about the experience because what year was that when you're at SMU and you're studying film?
Good question. So when I went to SMU initially, I graduated. I went to SMU from 90 to 92.
Hmm.
I I left and ended up transferring to another school to play football,
Hmm.
and ended up stopped playing football. And I just started working on my craft, like shooting. I had a
Hmm.
job in the fire department and other jobs, but I was making movies, right? So full circle, after I did the film Carter High, SMU invited me back to finish my degree, and
Wow.
they gave me all my credits for film. So I only needed like Spanish to take and a couple other classes, and that's how I ended up getting my bachelor's in film.
Wow. Shout out to SMU for hooking that up.
Yeah,
Um, wow. Okay. So, and also for the audience, because some people may not know, what year were you working on Carter High, and so they can kind of put the time significance to that.
so Carter High was 2014. We started working
Hmm.
on film in 2014, and our theatrical release was in October of 2015. We
Hmm.
had a theatrical release, a limited theatrical release, and that was in
Hmm.
2015.
And then it's out in the theaters. How does SMU reach out? How do they know to reach out to you to tell you to come?
Well, everybody was talking about Carter at the time, which
Right.
was crazy, and people ask me all the time, so how was it to have your movie in theaters, like literally across the country in theaters? And it was good, it felt good. But what I tell people, the best feeling that I could remember during that time, it was when I went to go see the movie NWA.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that was out that time.
Coming out. Yeah, Carter was coming out right after that, and so
Yeah.
to be sitting in this full theater with you know, you watching this movie NWA, and you know the trailers come on, and Carter High was one of the trailers, and to
Yeah.
just the response of the
Yeah.
audience, you
Wow.
know, that
Mhm.
is what that was like one of the best feelings, man, in the world. Like to just because you know how people act when they see trailers and they like we gonna go see that. It
Yeah,
was that.
absolutely.
It was that. You know. Yeah.
That was pretty cool because around that time, me personally, I was shooting music videos and I'm in the DFW area, and that movie is just like buzzing everywhere. Everybody's talking about Carter High, this, and that. And that was my first time actually meeting you. I met you at a restaurant to get some clips from the movie.
Oh,
Y'all shot on to get some clips from the movie because I was working on a music video with Lamar Strait. He was in your movie as well.
right.
And so I did hit the music video that was, to help market the movie or whatever. So like, man, that was a great time here in the Dallas area. So movies in the theater, so how does that help you with your career? And how did you get to that point where you're doing a full feature that's a high profile, like the Carter High movie? How did that happen?
Man, you know, well, so I did my first film. And as a filmmaker, with me anyway, like every film you think this is the one, you know, the one that's going to like, you know, this is my She's Gotta Have It, my jewelry,
Absolutely.
you know, my Hollywood Shuffle, my Straight Out of Brooklyn, like
Yep.
my Boys in the Hood. Every film,
Absolutely.
man, I think this is the one. So I thought that was my first film, Solitaire. Solitaire was not the one.
It wasn't the one. That was the one you shot on film, though, right? The Solitaire.
Right?
Mhm.
But Solitaire, what I can say, was the one that led to Sweet Justice, which
Mhm.
is another film that I was able to do.
Mhm.
Which I'm thinking, you know, this project was the first one we used like what we call names, like Reagan Gomez is in it,
Mhm.
Zero from Houston, he's in it. But that was like the one.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
wasn't the one. But that was the one that led to First Impression.
Uh-huh.
First Impression is a film that we shot in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And you know, so I'm thinking we're gonna take this show on the road. You know, we're going to
Right.
Georgia. This is like 2012,
Mhm.
2011, 2012. So
Mhm.
we shoot First Impression, and we got everybody in this film: Lamont Rucker, Lisa Airedale, Elise
Yeah.
Neal,
Mhm.
Ford, you know, God rest his soul. The other brother that was in Martin with him, just a lot of people in
Car.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl,
Mhm.
Carl.
Mhm.
I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking this is the one,
It's the one.
but it wasn't
Wasn't the one.
the one. but even
Mm.
though at the time First Impression had never come out at the
Mhm.
time it was supposed to, but at least I had a copy of it. And this is what I tell filmmakers: at least always make sure as a director you get a completed copy of your film, and at
Okay.
least because you never know, you know what it can lead to. So at
Mhm.
least I had that copy, and Greg Ellis wanted to do a film, who executive produced Carter,
Mhm.
and at least I had that film to show Greg that yeah, we can make this movie.
Yeah.
And Greg saw First Impression, and you know it's a good film. So
Mhm.
that Carter High, and
Mhm.
when I did Carter High, I thought, you know, this is the one.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it wasn't the one like I expected it, you know, it to be, but it
Mhm.
did to other films. And I'm saying I let to say, just keep doing the work, keep honing your craft, because you never know what the one is going to lead to. The one
Mm.
you may expect may do something else than what you expect. But as
Mhm.
long as you know you do the work, put forth, you know, your craft, your expertise, leave like we say, you know, in sports, leave it on the field.
Yeah. Absolutely. So going into Carter, you 4 films deep, and then you get to Carter, and then but that leads to the next thing. So like
Right,
these are like building blocks. These are like your resume builders.
right.
And you say keep a copy of your film. Now everybody's so stuck on digital streaming. So how do we, what are like some of the things? 'Cause I remember the DVDs we were using in one of our short films. We were selling DVDs and having that out, but that was a few years ago. So now things have kind of changed a little bit. How can like the filmmakers? What are some suggestions as far as like marketing their film? What could they have it on? What do you think?
To market it,
Yeah, like so if they have the like you said you had a copy of the film,
Yeah,
but
Vimeo.
nowadays it's digital. So
Yeah, I do Vimeo. That's mainly what I would use.
mhm.
Password protection on Vimeo or a unlisted link on Vimeo,
Oh, I
and
see.
yeah,
Hmm.
so that's what I typically use to show people.
Got you. How do you approach projects now? Do you start with the idea and you flesh it out? Does an agent do they send scripts to you? How do you determine like what's the project that you're going to work on? Did you have to develop these projects yourself, or kind of walk us through that?
That's a really good question because, and that's kind of like the spot where I'm at right now in my
Hmm.
career, where I was just doing film after film after film after film. And when I got with the, in this mentorship program, so the mentor that I'm paired with, he's done like major things. I'm talking about like,
Hmm.
major things in TV,
Hmm.
Games of Thrones, all those type of projects. So me being paired with someone like that, and it's the best, it could be the best and a curse at the same time. But the way I look at it is a blessing
Hmm.
because it really made me hone in my voice or focus in on my voice as a filmmaker. And I
Hmm.
think for so long, me just doing projects after projects after projects, whether or not it spoke to me as a filmmaker and it represented my voice, I just was, you know, just doing the work and still leaving it on the field. But when I got paired with the mentor, well, everything that we have been discussing, it reminded me of something that Steven Spielberg has said. And it was in an interview when he was asked, well, how did your career become so successful and to get you where you at right now? And he said, because I knew how to choose good stories. I knew how to choose the right script. So as a director, you really need to learn not just how to read the scripts, but know, number one, if it resonates with you and if it represents your voice. So that's why I kind of haven't did anything besides the films that's going to come out lately because the scripts I got some stuff now that I'm about.
Yeah. Right.
But the next things that I do work on are really going to be a good representation, I believe, of me as a filmmaker. So you can just choose the scripts. I have scripts, given to me, often, and I have some that I've written. But it's really, man, focusing on your voice and knowing that you have something important to say. Sometimes
Yeah.
we don't realize how important your voice is, and your
Hmm.
voice as an artist is very important. But I think too often, speaking for myself, I
Yeah.
wasn't authentic with my voice. So that's what I want to focus on now, making sure that the work that I put out is not inconsequential, but
Hmm.
carry some weight. And when
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
on, it's going to represent, me as a filmmaker.
Yeah, because I mean, especially because you have to live with a film so long, years, and you want something proud,
Right.
that you can put your name next to. We do have a couple of questions, real quick. Hopefully, I'm saying your name right. Is it Gaia? What is your favorite genre to direct? If I misspelled your name, mispronounced your name, sorry about that.
My
What's your
favorite genre,
favorite genre? Yeah,
I would probably say drama is it's probably my favorite drama. My favorite genre would be drama. I
really?
like
What?
I like
Uh,
because I've done more of drama. I've done
right.
romantic comedies, but I think drama is probably more of my wheelhouse.
Hmm. What is it because of the Spike Lee joint? Is that the one that kind of turned,
I
directed
just,
your vision or?
I think it's based on how I grew up in my life, and
Hmm.
and trying to stay true and authentic, to it. So within the drama, there's a lot of comedy because that's kind of like how I grew up. So
Yeah.
it just but drama, and I've been watching the filmmaker lately because one thing again the program did, I was given a list like of a lot of different movies to watch, and then so I've been watching films that people probably never even heard of, and finding directors that I've
Yeah.
never heard of, and one
Right.
is Asghar Farhadi,
Uh-huh.
Iranian film director, man. He's just great. And I just noticed all his films have a, and it's about the third film in. I'm like, man, his films have like the same theme,
Yeah, yeah,
So excellent filmmaker, and it's a twist on each one, but I see his voice.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay. And it just thought into, I think sometimes we go so far out of what really speaks to us as an artist, trying to
yeah,
be so different. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But
absolutely.
and that's because I don't think we don't recognize the power of our own voice, and knowing that you have something to say, stay
Yeah.
true to it and say that. Say it
Mhm.
in an entertaining way, but stay true to what you want to say as an artist and as a filmmaker.
Absolutely. That kind of reminds me like you dropped his name, like Christopher Nolan's kind of the same way where there's a
One way.
theme. There's a theme in all his film, which is time. And he's
Time.
always dealing with time in some kind of way in every single film. It's interesting.
Right. Right.
We have some more questions. What I'm not sure what they mean by this, but what is something that up and coming directors need to make sure that they do?
I would say study the craft.
Hmm.
I mean, that's ultimately it. Really, really learn the craft of filmmaking and directing. I teach, film directing too. And one of the things, and although I teach, I'm learning a lot, while
Yeah,
I'm teaching students.
absolutely.
So the one of the thing is mise en scene, right? And mise en scene simply is a French term that means placing on the stage. I mean, framing a shot to the point where if your actors didn't say anything,
Mm.
you know, can you tell a story? Can you
Oh,
tell a story with a shot?
ooh,
And that's what I noticed. A lot of filmmakers, unfortunately, I don't even think they understand that process and how to do that. But if you start watching some of these master filmmakers and you turn the sound off and you just
hmm,
watch the images, you
yeah.
will see, wow, these are scientists. We call them directors, but it's deeper than that, man. And I don't think we understand the power of the medium that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, man, that's you're really getting into the visual language because at the end it is a visual language. Sometimes people will have just a talking head telling us the plot, just
Right,
whereas like, hey, can you show like you were saying, showing that and have cut to you know, a, a gun or something like that. It's like, oh, the director wanted us to see that. Why are they showing us that?
right.
Um, that's a good one. That's a good answer right there. Okay, so is there anything you want to add to that before we
Well,
go to
yeah,
another question?
yeah, because when you said the director wanted to show us that, that's what I tell the students is that your job is to direct the audience where you want them to go.
Mhm.
So if you just if you do a close up every scene, when do the audience know that that close up is important? If you're doing a close up every time, every shot, it's a close up, it's a close up, it's a close up. When you really want them to know that something is important, and you give them another close up, it's like, well, how do they know this is different than other close ups?
Right, right.
Other close-ups didn't mean anything, but that's understanding the visual language and your power as a director, and you directing the eye. You may want to put a specific character in a certain color because you want them to stand out from the other characters.
Yeah.
You want to light a scene a certain way so that you direct the eye of the audience to what you want them to see and what you want them to
Mhm,
focus on. So just
mhm.
learning those different things, I think, really would help directors.
Are there any books that come to mind that are probably some good books or good reference materials, and then also maybe mention a good movie that's a good movie for people to study?
Oh man, books. You want some books?
Yeah.
This is this is directing, film techniques.
Man, that's a large book too.
Right. This is shot by shot.
You with
Great
that
book,
one? Uh-huh.
excellent book. I got another book that that really helped me a lot. That the brother who did The Color Purple, where I got my Blitz.
Hmm.
When I got my my MFA, my master's from, he was one of
Hmm.
the advisors there, right? And he
Right.
gave a book. I don't know if I should have it. I got it somewhere around here. Should be
Hmm.
close by. But it's called Still Like an Artist. And I don't know if you ever
Still,
Still Like
yes,
an and I don't,
yes.
you know, in that book when when he recommended that we get that book, right? And
Hmm.
so one of my issues when I first started making movies is I want
Hmm.
to be so different. You know, I
Yeah,
want to be like, well, I didn't want to really take from, even though I really admire Spike Lee, I didn't want to take from Spike Lee. I wanted to be my own thing, and I think that slowed me down tremendously.
wow.
In that book, and what Blitz said is that as artists, you steal things that you like from other artists, and
Hmm.
you use them and you make them your own, and
Hmm.
that's how you grow as a filmmaker, and eventually you have your own way that you do it, but initially you start off and you still like an artist, and you
Yeah,
find and you put them in like a little swipe book, what we call like a little swipe book, and when you see
yeah,
something like,
yeah.
boom, you watch it over there, and when it's
Spike
time
book.
and when it's time for you to do your thing, you refer to it and you
Yeah.
use it,
Hmm. Hmm.
what I wish I would have done early on.
Yeah. I can understand that though. I know director Quentin Tarantino gets a lot of flack for jacking stuff from other films. You know,
Right,
Reservoir Dogs is just like a whole scene
right,
of something that he took.
right.
uh,
But you got to
uh,
study other great filmmakers to order to be able to do that. I mean,
right.
and now there's so much stuff out there that's not that good that you probably shouldn't be swiping from, but you got to go. You got to go to the vault,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's, you got
Yeah.
to study those type of filmmakers, man.
Absolutely. We have another question. Casey from asked, how important or difficult is it to work within a budget?
That's very important, and it's very
Mhm.
difficult.
Yeah.
and and a few scripts that I've gotten,
Hmm.
a filmmaker would come to me with the script. I'll read the script, and then I say, "What's your budget?" They tell me their budget. I give them their script back. I say, "You need to fit this script within that budget because right
Yeah.
now we can't shoot this based on your budget." And
Yeah.
so now you have to fit your script, your story within the budget that you have access to, within
Hmm.
the budget that you have. And that's really where I'm at with one of my films that I'm about to do myself, which I'm thinking about financing it myself. And I
Hmm.
did, and it's I can do it, but if I want to do it with certain names, I'm gonna have
Hmm.
to scale it back or get more money. So
Hmm.
it's all about making your script fit within the budget, but at the same time, remember you have a vision, which we talked about in the beginning. And is your vision going to be followed through with, or at the end of the day, speaking of myself, is this film that I do going to be just like the other films that I did?
Hmm.
I don't want that. I
Okay.
want the next film to be elevated above all the other films that I've done.
Wow. Okay. Keep building that resume, getting better, getting better.
Right.
We have another question because you talked about finance and funding. That's always like the golden question, right? What's the best way to get your films funded, and how do you survive while you're in production?
The best way to get your film funded is several ways. Luckily, like most of the time, the the money has come to me when people wanted to do a movie. I just have had to tweak the script to make it fit within the money that they have.
Hmm.
So that's the money really haven't been a problem. And I stay I think what was the last part of that question? How do you stay afloat? What was it?
Yeah, basically, how do you survive while you're in production? Because some people have jobs and this is going on. How do you make it?
I
While you're
mean,
doing this.
it's different. I've done some films where, like, with 12,
Hmm.
my most recent film, we shot for 12 days. Interesting. The name of the movie is 12. We shot for 12 days, and I got paid, with the budget, but at the same time, I've shot another film, Gutter Mummies, we did on the weekends. My first film,
Mhm.
we only did on the weekends. So I'm able to still, work and then, get paid from that as well. So I have a driving school and we have a driving school in Pantego. So that's keeps you really busy as well.
Yeah, yeah. Keep it going. Absolutely.
Right.
And then like, what are the budget that you so far in your career? What's the budget ranges you've been working with up to this point?
From nothing, my first film, basically my
Yeah,
first shot was $6 grand.
yeah,
Like I said, I did on film, I did everything. Basically shot the film, edit the film. I did the sound on the film for the most part. When the sound person, my friend, couldn't show up, lean the boom mic on the couch, in the bushes, in the car,
yeah,
back
yeah.
seat. Whenever I could get the sound, I was getting the sound. And
Hmm.
but that film got distribution, through
Wow.
Maverick. And this is through Maverick back at the beginning, not Maverick now.
This
So yeah, Doug,
Blockbuster Maverick.
yeah, Blockbuster. The film was in Blockbuster, right? And
Mm-hmm.
matter of fact, my Sweet Justice, the other film that we did, ended up going to Netflix when you got the DVDs in the mail. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
remember Netflix back then.
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that film with the Netflix. So those things keep you, allow you to survive
Hmm.
and still make movies at the same time.
Hmm. People forget about like Netflix was they brought in a lot of independent films at one point, and when they first started their streaming platform, it was a lot of independent films on there,
Right,
and there was like two licenses, one for the streaming, then one for the physical copies.
right,
Uh,
right.
but since they've done the deal with Hollywood, they switched up on us.
And Tubi gonna switch up on us too. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of it's the same thing.
Oh man. So now that we brought that up, so the industry has changed, as far as like distribution of films and like where people go to watch. Where are we at currently as far as where people are watching films and things like that? And then you had mentioned Tubi, as far as where people are streaming and watching their films, and is or was a good place for independent filmmakers to put their films and make some decent money. What are you seeing out there?
Those are the things, and it's crazy, man, because there's so many different. It's different worlds. Like, so, my mentor and a lot of people that's like on that level in the DGA, believe it or not even familiar with Tubi. It's like
What do you
not
mean
not
not familiar?
not familiar with it. It's like when you mention Tubi and the ability to, get distribution with Tubi and make
Yeah.
money, they're like, what is, like Tubi? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's funny because my first few classes, going back maybe a year, 2 years, I would ask the students, how many people heard of Tubi? Nobody raised their hand. Maybe
Really?
maybe one or two students.
Hmm.
Now more of them know about Tubi. But
Yeah.
I mentioned my mentor because he's doing stuff like for Netflix, for HBO, and major stuff. So they're not in that world, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
That Tubi world and that streaming world like that. But
Hmm.
that is available now, and that's what has changed from when I first started. Initially, it used to be about really getting the money and to make a movie. Now you can make a movie with your cell phone. You can
Right.
edit a movie with your laptop, CapCut, with all these other things they use to edit. So we have no reason not to be able to get our stories out. It's just a matter of how much quality we're going to put into the stories that we put out. Because Tubi don't really care. Why? Because they're going to make money regardless. You
Hmm.
know, so it's up to us as filmmakers because your work represents you at the end of
Yeah,
the day.
that's
So
true.
it's just a
Um,
matter of what
I'm
you want to put it out there.
I've noticed, and like you're saying, there's two worlds. So you got the world which is like kind of like the studio space, where it's like the big conglomerates. There are millions of dollars in their budgets. They're going theatrical. They're doing whatever they want to do, and vendors. I consider myself vendor. We could benefit from those big budgets, But I see what you mean by two different worlds. So you got that world, but then you also have indie world, because it feels like some of the best directors I know, they went the indie route and then got recognized by the studios and started getting the gigs at the studio, to start shooting their stuff.
Right.
But some people kind of stay, because the old playbook was you make your film, you hopefully get into South by Southwest or Sundance or something like that. You get picked up by a distributor, and then your career starts. But I don't know if that's the playbook for everybody. So so can you talk a little bit about the indie side and how people are monetizing and making a living with their indie projects?
And that's your IP, your intellectual property. Making sure that when you do go, and use distribution, right? So let's say rather than that, you go through an aggregator or a sales rep or distribution. One of the main things you want to make sure is how long do they have your project, right? And then depending on how long they have it, also, are they taking any fees out? Is there a distribution fee? Is there a marketing fee? Those are the things you really want to stay away from. And the reason why I say that, because most distribution companies, they don't market your movie.
Right.
So are you taking a distribution fee or a marketing fee in what you're doing? I can take it to Film Hub and they can do what you're doing and you're not charged anything. Or you can take it to an aggregator and you may pay a couple of $1,000s to get your film, in the system. But after that, you just splitting, 80, you getting 80%, they getting 20%. I would rather do something like that versus, a company charging me for a distribution fee or a marketing fee. And you're not you making a poster. I can get a poster made, but you're gonna charge me. And when I say marketing fee, I'm talking about like a $25,000 marketing fee.
Oh no, it
Yeah,
sounds like a record label from the 90s.
right. And distribution companies, they still do that. So, but if you can get your film into, you can get the distribution, you can get on Tubi, you can get on Amazon, Freevee, so many streaming platforms. And it's at that point, it's about driving an audience to it, because it's one thing to be on Tubi, and it's another thing to have people watching your movie while it's on Tubi. That's two different things. I mean,
Absolutely.
I had a film on Tubi, and it was on Tubi, but
That was
I
it.
don't know if nobody knew it was on Tubi. So that wasn't doing, anybody any
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
YouTube now, YouTube is starting to become a really, really big platform for movies. So don't sleep on YouTube. You just got to get your film to the point where you can get it to the level where you can monetize.
Absolutely. I had lost my thought. That's what I was going to say. Even what I found out, we had went to the American Film Market. This was pre-COVID. And they were mentioning, if people don't know what the American Film Market is, like the only like marketplace in America where you can like sell your rights internationally. And one of the people there, they were saying that you'll be surprised, because a distributor will take you, be like you were talking about that fee, they'll take that fee and they'll put it on Film Hub, and you could have just did it yourself.
Right.
That's not right.
No, that's not right. But it's happening right now as we speak. Somebody will probably just sell the deal.
It's cold-blooded.
Right.
How I was talking to a director, one local here in Dallas, and he was talking about how there was some good money being made on Tubi. Like if you know what you're doing with marketing, and you know how to kind of get the word out there, and you have some ownership to the film that's on a platform like Tubi, there's some good money in it, and another producer friend also mentioned that she confirmed, like, hey, these guys are making some money out here. So can you kind of tell us what's going on, and kind of like from a Tubi standpoint, and where you think things are going to be headed?
Well, I think now it's kind of like maybe falling off a little bit, but I know personally a brother, I ain't going to mention his name, but he called me, and this is maybe a year ago, it had to be a couple of years ago. He called me and he said, man, he knew I had a film on Tubi, but mine had just got on Tubi.
Right.
And he was nervous. He was like, hey, man, you got a film on Tubi, right? Yeah. He said, this is what happened. I just got a check for 80 grand. He got a check for 80 grand,
Yeah,
right? And he
yeah,
thought it was a mistake. So he was nervous.
yeah.
And he said,
The block is hot. Okay.
man, so he said it happened like 3 times. Yeah. And I saw the movie.
You saw it. See, that's the key. Somebody got to watch it.
Right, but I saw a movie, and when I saw the movie, I mean, it's not like a big blockbuster type film.
Right.
It's a decent quality film, but it wasn't so. But it was proof that you can make that kind of money on
Hmm.
YouTube. And I have
Yeah.
had some films to make, not that, but
Yeah.
I've had films that I've directed. Some
Hmm.
I got IP on, some I don't. But where the person that I directed it for have confirmed that, man, yeah, we got a nice
It was all
check.
right.
Right, we all
Nice.
right.
Yeah, man, it's good to get that confirmation because we all share notes as filmmakers. It's not too many of us, so it's like trying to share notes. And also, like, hey, what's your experience with this distributor? What's your experience with this platform? What's your experience, theatrically and all that? So it's important to share that information. Where do you think things are going? Because I can't remember who I was listening to. I mean, it might have been Linda Nelson or somebody like that, and they were mentioning how since was it Fox that purchased Tubi? Ever since Fox purchased Tubi, they're pushing their catalog titles on Tubi. And if you're an independent filmmaker and your film was on Tubi, it's going to kind of get covered up and it's not going to be on that front page like it used to be because now Fox is kind of pushing their catalog. Where do you think things are going with that?
I think anything, like, personally, so like we just talked about earlier about Netflix, right? It's only going to be so long before people recognize that, oh, wait a minute, it's a lot of money over here. And when they recognize it, we, the small little independent filmmakers, going to be the first to be squeezed out of that. That
Yeah.
just is what it is. But if you're taking this opportunity to hone in your craft, and elevate yourself to the point where whether or not it's Tubi or another platform, you as a filmmaker will be recognized as putting out quality work. So it's
Yeah.
still, while you have this opportunity, continue to make your movies, work on your craft, elevate your game. So when that, when Tubi, if it phases out, it won't be like the only thing that you had to hang your hat on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You to the point now where whether or not it's Tubi or something else, you as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, you can keep on, keep it moving. It's like taking a decent basketball player or a football player from one team to another team. If you can ball, you can ball.
Absolutely. I'm trying to go through these questions real quick, make sure I didn't miss anybody. I think Ashanti, she said, you better off just putting 25K on Google ads and running it for marketing.
Right.
Take control of the marketing. Speaking of marketing, do you want to talk about some of your current projects? And I think we have some of the key art here.
Yeah, we have 12. This is the most recent one that's on. It's on Tubi. So
Let's go.
go 12.
Yeah.
So that is the most recent film. It's a horror. Well, I wrote the film, right? Let me give you the backstory.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when I was getting my master's, my whole thing, I wanted to just focus on writing. I didn't want to, because I've already made films, so I want them to focus on writing. Because one thing I've learned, writing is the key. I tell the students in the beginning was the word. So that if you really, really, really want to make it as a filmmaker, as a director, if you want to make it in this business, learn to write.
Okay.
Learn to write, learn to read good scripts, know when you have a good script, but learn to write. If you learn to write, you always have a job. And when I say write, I'm saying really write, learn the craft of storytelling. So I wanted to focus on writing. And so I had some really good advisors that was professional writers in the industry. So I thought I'd challenge myself with writing a horror film.
Right.
I took, things that I had experienced somewhat, as far as like, the dominoes, and my dad, because me and my dad played, dominoes a lot, and my uncle,
Hmm.
doing a little research about the dominoes, how dominoes are made from animal bones, like the elephant tusk is
Yeah.
where bones were originally, made from. So then
Hmm.
I found that in Haiti, they played dominoes a lot. So I just started weaving the story, together,
Yeah.
hoping I, get this horror film, which I think have a little bit more comedy than I expected in the horror.
Yeah.
And so that's what 12 is about. Anybody that play dominoes know the
Hmm.
number that begins the game is big
Hmm.
six,
Big
and
six. Yeah.
and 12 is a very spiritual number. When you break down 12, 12 is weaved in so many mystical type things. So, 12 months in a year. We got the 12 notes on a musical scale. It's all around us, right?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I went a little bit too spiritual or deep with 12. I don't know. But it's not, it don't have the horror that I was expecting.
Yeah.
And so please go look at 12. Let me know what you
Yeah.
think.
Absolutely. But you were saying the key is learning the craft of writing, learning the craft of writing, and that's the key, because one thing I've discovered is nobody wants to write. It's like one of the most important things, and
Mm,
nobody wants to write. Everybody want to act, get in front of the camera, direct, all that stuff, but the most important thing, nobody has that, nobody wants to do it, wants to sit down and just write. And-
Spike Lee said this, but they was asking Spike Lee, what's the best way to become a director? Like, how do you become a director? What's the best way? And Spike Lee said, learn how to write.
Man.
That's the best way to become a director. He said, because one thing you can always do is once you write your script, you can direct it. But you
Boom.
don't want to direct something crappy.
Yeah.
And put your name on it. You done wrote it
Hmm.
and directed this crappy thing.
Yeah.
Learn how to write.
Yeah.
Learn how to write well. Learn how to write very well, very good, to the point where now when you direct it, you're gonna get an audience because you wrote a great story.
Hmm. I think it was John Singleton to add to that mentioned that's like the cheapest film you'll make is the one that you write it down. And that's the cheapest it's gonna get once it's on paper.
John Singleton was a very good writer. I don't know how many
Mhm, mhm,
it is a very good was a very good writer.
mhm.
And
Um,
one of the writers that he mentioned that he looked, and I actually went and got his book was Patty Chafsky. He's a writer, like way back in the day, wrote films. I think he wrote the film Marty, which is an
mhm,
old, it's on Tubi under the what's the name section, the classics, Marty. But
mhm.
yeah, and I've been reading his book, just really want to hone in my craft as a writer. Because one thing as a filmmaker, I consider myself still always a student. So
Right.
any opportunity I can learn from another filmmaker, learn from a writer, a director, I try
Mhm.
to take the opportunity to do that.
I have a question here. How do you keep harmony on set as a director?
I think what I try to do is treat people like I want to be treated. And I try to get that message first day we start shooting. Even though I'm
Yeah.
the director, these are PAs. We're all gonna treat each other with respect. We're all gonna treat each other, like we want to be treated. So we're not gonna
Mhm,
be big eyes, little U's. You treat people
mhm.
like you want to be treated, and I get that message. When we first huddle up before we start the game, I let
Right.
everybody know this is what it is. And then sometimes during set, day one you shoot, day two you shoot, day three things start trying to get off the rails a little bit. Day three the train is a little bit more off the rails. The tracks is over here and the train is over here. So as a
Yeah.
director, your job, you got the vision, you see this, you got to bring everybody back together, put the tracks back on there, get the train back on the track, and let them know, look, this is just day five. We got 8 more days to go. And when you see, people not treating each other like they're supposed to be treated, or it's starting to be a little negativity starting to go around, then your job as a director is to huddle people back up and get the train back on the track.
Absolutely. So communication is the key. Good leadership. It's almost like you the coach, like you might as well have a whistle on set.
Yeah, you're the conductor. You know,
Hmm.
it's to conduct. You know, you got a group of people that's there to help usher in the vision. And like I tell people, like anytime, one of the best things we can do is learn from women when they're giving birth to a child. That's, I think, is the hardest thing to do in life. I never done it, but I've seen it happen before. And one of the things that the doctors say is breathe and push. And as
Yeah.
a filmmaker, as a director, when you have a vision and you're trying to give birth to that vision, you have to breathe and push. And you got to keep
Hmm.
pushing. You got to keep pushing the crew. You got to keep pushing the cast. You got to keep breathing and just push through that vision.
Yeah, great metaphor right there. We're going to go into your kind of like your program. You mentioned the program a couple of times, but shed more light on. So you're in the union, right?
Yes.
DGA.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Can you talk about that process and then also talk about how you got into the program that you're currently in and how that's helping you with your career?
So the DGA, the basically the Directors Guild Association of America, and that is like SAG for actors. And you have in order to get in, you have to have a certain amount of films. You have to have three directors that are in the guild to write letters of recommendation for you to get in. And then I think there was and something else, I think. But those are like the two main things. And
Hmm.
then you have to do a DGA film. So
Okay.
that so that's the other thing. And so that it's been, I haven't got any like jobs from it, but
Hmm.
the access that I've been getting, like from to be able to reach certain people,
Hmm.
have you know have helped tremendously. And
Hmm.
then to get into the mentorship, the television mentorship program, that's a whole nother ball game. So I had to, you have to write like you have to do like a elevator pitch, think like a 2 minute, 1 minute elevator pitch. Um, you had to do, I had to interview with certain other directors. You have to send in a reel, several things you have to do. And a lot of people actually submit for this. And I was lucky, to be one of the ones that was chosen. So it was a certain amount of members from the East Coast, which I went that route. And then you have a certain amount
Hmm.
on the West Coast.
Wow, that's
So
pretty
we
cool,
actually
man.
graduate. We graduate this weekend.
Con- Man,
Six-
congrats. How long was the program?
we started in April.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, congrats on that, man. That's
Thank
a big
you.
deal.
Yeah, and,
That's
and I did it. I did it not just to, I would love it if I be hired to direct some, television, a Game of Thrones, Power or something, anything. But
right.
ultimately, I just want to learn that side because I never really dealt with television like that. But you'd be surprised. Quick little story. There was one student who went through the program. And so even though you go through the program, it ain't like you know it all. So she was on set and she was like, she started to panic because it had dawned on her that she really hadn't done much. And she was on a set shooting her episode and it was a $30 million budget. And it just dawned. And we ain't talking about movie.
Right. This is TV, right?
This TV.
Yeah.
So she did with a $30 million budget on an episode. So she just had to start calling some of her other cohorts, so she could kind of like get calmed down. And so I thought to myself, I wouldn't mind having that opportunity to direct a $30 million,
For real.
a $3 million episode or anything.
You
But
know.
for television, you can make really, really good money, and you work on that for 7 days and you on to the next show. And that's the
Yeah.
difference between a movie and a TV. Like you mentioned earlier, a movie, you live with that thing for years, possibly. With a TV, you shoot your episode 7 days, you on to the next. Another 8 days here, you on to the next.
That's
And
pretty interesting.
you're making more money doing TV than you probably ever would doing movies.
That's very interesting too, because is this true or not? Where like when you're on film and you're shooting a movie, you kind of have more like kind of like say so and everything like that. But in TV world, isn't like the showrunner kind of more of like what the director is in films, kind of how right? Is that how it
Yeah.
works?
So not really like the director is in film, but as a director, you are a hired gun. You're hired to come and do this job. You ain't really changing the script much. You looking and studying how the other episodes were shot and making sure that you following that same pattern as a director. So the showrunner and executive producers are the ones with the power. But it's funny because my mentor even told me a story. The guy who I'm with now, and he said that, and this is the strange thing about it. He said, so basically, each director, when they was hiring them, they each got like 2 episodes to direct. And one director had come and shot his episode, and he never came back. So my mentor had said, he asked the EP, one of the executive producers, well, what happened to the other guy that never came back to this episode? And they said, well, he just did everything we asked him to do. And it got quiet. Like, wait a minute, wasn't that what he was supposed to do?
Yeah.
And it was, no, as a director, you still have to have a vision. And if they hire you to direct a TV episode, it's better for you at least to have a vision and let them pull you back and say, well, no, we don't do that on this show. Because you have some shows where they may not even like any close-ups. So if you go in there and try and do a close-up with everything, it's gonna be like, no, so when they go to the editing room, like, what is this? This is not our show. This is not our format that we use.
Right.
People don't like wide shots. Some, you may want to do a oneer,
Yeah.
for a scene. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we don't do oneers on this scene. We like coverage on every scene. So those are the type of things you want to know, but you want to have a vision. You want to, add, they brought you on to add something from you. Again, going back to your voice as a filmmaker, add something, add a shot, do something, and let them bring you back and say, well, no, we don't do that. But that was nice though, So
Mm.
you want to follow it, but at the same time, you want to follow their, what I've learned. You want to follow it, but still you want to show that this is an Arthur shot.
Right. Right.
You know?
hmm That's
Yeah.
that's interesting because they're hiring you for your perspective or your flavor,
Right.
what you can bring to it. That's cool to know because I mean, it's a job, but at the same time, it's like I did everything you told me to do, but
Right.
we hired you so you can put your directing sauce on there.
Right.
Interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Because directors like Robert Townsend, he does a lot of television, doesn't he?
He does. He's been doing a lot of television lately. Yeah. Matter of fact, I was being in the DJ. I was on I've been on a few calls with him, not like personally, but just in a group. And
Right.
he's about that because he's had people that to come shadow him, and he's given us a lot of good stories and stuff, about that. If we ever have the privilege to shadow on a set, so
Yeah.
yeah. But he's doing a lot of television now.
That's pretty cool. And like you said, like there's some good money in directing for a week or so, and you get a nice paycheck, and you go on to
Right.
your next thing.
Right.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Is there something else you would like to market on, or what are some new projects that you're working with, and where can like people reach out to you and just let us know everything that you got going on?
Well, The Little Voice is a film that I did like a while back, but I'm gonna drop that. That's a film that, yeah. And so I changed the cover up a little bit, and I want to re-release it again, but where I'm controlling the whole thing. And so I'm gonna do that, with The Little Voice, and that I'm gonna do that right after November, right after Thanksgiving.
What was your when did this originally come out, and why is there a re-release? What's going
Well,
on there?
it came out originally in 2019. I think it was 2017. I think.
Mhm.
And actually, it initially came out on Urban Flix, which is the SVOD platform. It came out on
Mhm.
Urban Flix. And then after Urban Flix, they re-upped It came out. It was about a year and a half. They re-upped and put it back out again. And then, luckily, a crazy thing. Quick story about the little voice. Lynn, who's in it, said he had a friend from Ghana to call him and said, "Man, I saw you on TV, like in Ghana." And Amy, who had distributed after I got it, from Urban Flicks, she had asked me if I mind doing a deal with Africa. I said, no, I don't mind. So they did a contract, and so it went to Africa, and I never thought anything about it until Lynn told me that his friend told him he saw him on TV.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
yeah, that was real cool. And
Wow.
so the movie, so it went to Tubi, it went to Amazon, Apple TV, and all that type of stuff. And so I just had, and again, we talked about like the IP. I wanted to just it stopped making its, what happened. It was on Freevee, and for some, and then that's where it was making most of the money from was Freevee. But I took it off of Freevee, and since the the money went down, I said, well, let me just get it back, and I'm just gonna control, all of it now. So at least if I'm gonna make $20, I'm gonna get $20.
Yeah, let me get the whole thing. I'm gonna need the whole thing. That's hilarious. Okay. So originally it was like through a different like distributor was kind of taking care of it, and now you get to control it and determine which platform it gets on.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Makes sense. And then you just create some updated key art and get it rocking and rolling.
Right.
That's important. It's funny because like if you have one hit film, you literally can get rich off that if you own the IP. Because I have a podcast where we talk about films all the time, and you see these films are like 30 years old, 40 years old, and like every time Christmas comes around, you see it again.
Right.
Keep seeing Halloween, you keep seeing it again. Like, wow, they're updating the key art. They do a new transfer, put it on 4K, and they keep making that money.
And my daughter, who's an actress, she's been in like, Aaliyah Muhammad, she's been in like some shows and older films that every now and then she still get like a sad check and be like, whoa, for these movies that she's done like years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
man, that's pretty cool.
Shows, yeah. So that's cool.
All right, man. We're coming up on an hour. Is there anything else you would like to touch on, and then also let the people know where they can find you at?
Well, on Instagram, you can find me at A Muhammad Film. Same thing on Facebook. It's Arthur Jordan Muhammad, and then they forced me finally to get on TikTok. Which
yeah, there you go.
That's A Muhammad too on TikTok. So you can find me on there as well. No, like I said, man, I'm got a couple of projects I'm gonna work on. This is, I don't know if you can see this, but this is gonna be one.
Oh, nice.
And this is gonna be my wheelhouse, bro. From this point out, these type of movies.
Okay, when you say these type of movies, what are we saying?
Just I'm focusing more on stuff that I want to relate to.
Okay,
like stuff that's dear to me now, and I want to represent that voice.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So you tapping in.
Right.
Oh, I like it. All right, sir. Thank you so much for coming in and gracing us with your presence and letting us know, and especially because a lot of people, they don't know, they think that directing might be just, hey, I just tell everybody what to do. You know what I mean? They might have the wrong. What'd you say?
You better do a lot of listening when you direct it. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, your actors are your best friends, and especially when you get good actors and they come on your set and they know that role and they become in that character. And if you have something that you may be telling that character or that actor to do, and if that actor is like, well, I don't think John would do that because John, blah, 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 then listen to John, because always listen to your actors, because 9 times out of 10, they may have a better direction for that character than you may have. Still, as a director, you can do your thing, but never forget to do their thing too. I always try to make sure an actor get their opportunity to do what they feel is right for the character. And most of the time, we on the same page, literally. So
yeah, man, that's very important because people sometimes have the wrong idea what the role is. So you've definitely shed some light on that today. Everybody, don't forget December 3rd is Giving Tuesday. So that is, the week after Black Friday. Everybody does the Black Friday thing or the Cyber Monday. Don't forget that Tuesday. That's when the nonprofits, that's their time to shine. And you can if you got some extra money that you want to give to some nonprofits, we'll be participating in that on December 3rd. So y'all don't forget that. Arthur, we appreciate your time. You have a good evening and much luck in your directing success, man.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right.
Later.
Peace.